Hey guys, good morning from Seattle. So we have a really fun stream today. This is sponsored by Woodify. We will be looking at, let me turn on my second camera here. Let's see, where are you? There you are. So that's what's on my desk right now. If you guys were wondering if that was a photo or not at the beginning there, that was not a photo. This is IRL. So we will be looking at two Woodify rings and just kind of see how they react on 3 levels of the same flute. Or the same brand of flute. So what we have here are 3 levels of Yamahas. We have a Yamaha 222, which is your beginner model. Plated silver throughout. And then we have the 482, which I believe is a silver head. Let me just look at the invoice really quickly. I just want to, double check that I'm not completely crazy. But let's see. The 482 is a sterling silver head joint. It's sterling silver body. And it has, but the mechanism is silver plated. Got it. Okay. Then we have drawn tone holes, open hole keys, pointed key arms, stainless steel springs, felt pads. And we have 0.015 tubing. Interesting. Standard thickness, standard wall thickness is 0.016. Does that actually make a difference then? And it is B-foot. Oh, and it's inline G. Oh, interesting. Well, I'm really glad that they plugged the holes for me. I didn't even realize it was inline G until now. Okay, cool. I might just do a more, like a more intense rock stroke grip. Okay, and then we have the Yamaha 787. So this one is a sterling silver hand cut type AM head joint. So it's a hand cut head joint, so handmade head joint. So sterling silver body and mechanism. So the mechanism is also silver on this guy up here. Yeah, pinned mechanism, drawn tone holes, open holes, point key arms, gold springs. Okay, instead of the stainless steel. It has Straubinger pads. Okay, this one has Straubinger pads. All right, Straubinger Phoenix pads. 0.017. So it is slightly thicker wall. So it's thick wall. Okay. So heavy wall. And then inline G as well. Okay. I'm probably going to have to put a plug in there, but that should be no problem. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and it has a C-sharp trill key. Yes, I did notice that when I opened up the case as a C-sharp trill key. So if you guys wanted to, I realize you guys probably would want to take a look at it like this instead. Let me turn on me. Hello. So yeah, so this is what we're looking at. So again, so we have here the Yamaha 222 beginner model flute, silver plated throughout. This one is sterling silver, but it does not say that the head joint is hand cut, and stainless steel springs. This one up here is sterling silver throughout, hand cut head joint with gold springs and Straubinger pads. So those are like the main differences that I am seeing in terms of like, you know, the how much better it gets as it goes higher and higher. If you guys haven't heard of Straubinger pads, the Straubinger pads are like a very like precise type of pad that is used on higher model flutes, and they generally are way more precise in how it covers the hole. I think there's something about like you have to actually like level the tone hole for a Straubinger pad as well. Something like that. I am not a flute technician myself, so I don't know all the little details. What I do know is that you have to be certified as a Straubinger pad technician in order to install Straubinger pads. So it is usually a sign that the flute is made extremely well and with extreme precision. So that's what we're looking at. And then of course the stars of the show today is the cherry Woodify ring. And we have a walnut with, is it ebony? It's walnut and white ebony, that's what it is. So the white ebony is this little inset that's like inside here. So let me see if I can just give you guys a nice close up. Ooh, okay. All right, so there you have it. See that nice white ebony in there? So from my last review, I did notice that I think that does actually change the behavior of the flute. So I think that's pretty darn cool. And what we're gonna do is clamp this onto the, right here on the head joint part. I believe it's with the clamp facing us. So we shall see what's going on. I'll show you guys a close-up of the cherry as well. This is the one that I felt that I really liked last time. Like it worked for the shape of my mouth. So just as a quick review, last time what we discovered was that the different woods of these Woodify rings kind of like force the inside of your mouth to make different shapes. So my conclusion last time was that it would help people, like it would help change people's flutes to like the behavior of their flute to match their mouth better. if you found one of the Woodify rings that matches the natural shape of your mouth better. So I think the cherry did that for me. So I'm curious if that will actually make these Yamahas easier for me to play. The other thing that I figured out last time was that if you kind of move the ring higher up, I believe what it does is it pushes the range of motion in the mouth, like where that air bubble sits, to make certain notes come out more, like, you know, readily. It like moves that range of motion all the way forward, like way forward. Now, Yamahas tend to be very back playing flutes, and they tend, like on me, I feel like I'm constantly like swallowing my tongue to play Yamahas. So my thought is that this will help, like if I just kind of like move this a little higher up the head joint, I can make Yamahas easier for me to play. This is not the case for everyone. I just happen to have a very small mouth. So I actually have a literal child-sized mouth. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, a story I like to tell is that whenever I go to the dentist, I have to ask for the pediatric x-ray tabs. Because if I don't, and they actually put a note in my file now to do that, because the inside of my mouth is so small. So that's why back playing flutes on my mouth tend to feel very like, you know, like I'm sort of swallowing my own mouth, or my tongue, sorry. So yeah. So I think what I may end up doing, just so you guys know what I'm doing, you know, just in order to make these flutes a little bit easier for me to play, I might actually have these higher up on the head joint. They also like, so like if you have it lower on the head joint and even on the neck, if you have it straight up on the neck of the flute, which is right here, that it will cause everything to kind of like slam backwards in the mouth. Like the whole range of motion goes further back in the mouth. And then if you don't really want to change where the range of motion is, then you kind of want to have it like just a bit above the neck area. So yeah, so we are going to be just seeing now, because I have no idea how this is going to react on different levels of the same flute. We, you know, Ale, the creator of Woodify, and I, when we were talking about brainstorming different ideas of how to play more around with Woodify, we both had no idea what really happens to your sound if you change, you know, like to different levels of the same brand of flute with the same Woodify. We have a vague idea that, you know, generally speaking, it makes it more comfortable for you some way, somehow, and thus with it being more comfortable, you sound better. But I'm here today to find out exactly what happens. So we're going to do a lot of kind of back and forth experimentation, and yeah, we're just going to have a ton of fun. So there is my super long introduction as to what the heck we are doing today. And it looks like I have tilted my camera here. Let me untilt that, and then you guys can stare at these lovely beauties while I catch up with you guys. I do like to spend at least a few minutes catching up, but I did want to kind of start off this stream first, explaining what the heck we're doing. So let me go through the chat again. Perak, I'm so sorry if I'm not saying your name correctly. Hello. And Nicholas, hello, how are you? Jen, hello. Jimmy, David. Hey, Steven. You are ready. I love it. Oh, interesting. So the 0.05 is just 0.001 off because of the Japan to US conversion. Okay, I see. So let me just see really quickly. Yeah, so it says here that the 0.017 tubing is equivalent to 0.43 millimeters. That's according to the invoice. Yeah, and 0.015 inch tubing is equivalent to 0.38 millimeters. So, but I think it legit is just standard wall for the 482 and then heavy wall, right? For the 787, right? So again, this is the 222, the 482, and the 787. By the way, the Flute Center absolutely did provide these flutes for us to play around with. Yeah, the Woodify rings were sent to me directly from Ale. So Ale, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, heavy wall, right? Yeah. 0.38 is standard and 0.45 is heavy wall. Okay, yeah. So I do like that we have kind of like some slight differences, here. From my experience teaching a lot of especially adult students, for some reason, a lot of people are placed on a heavy wall. It's about a 787. Like a lot of people are placed on that. And the reason why I use that word is because a lot of their teachers, they're maybe teachers from like 10 years ago or whatever, told them to buy it in order for them to grow into it, which I think is an interesting concept, because I do notice some people struggling on with such a heavy wall. Other people, for other people, it's a really great fit. But there was this sort of thought process that playing on a heavy wall would force you to blow harder, have better breath support, something like that, so that you could play, really freely, with big sound, projecting, all that good stuff. However, I think my personal viewpoint is that if you're constantly struggling with an instrument that you feel like you just can't push enough air through, you can't let go. And if you can't let go, you can't really play and express very well. Your dynamic control is going to feel like you're walking on eggshells. Your tone color palette control is also going to feel like you're sort of walking on eggshells. And having done that for many years, because I was on my previous head joint that is a good head joint, but it didn't fit me that well. I was on that for 11 years, and I can confirm that it made me very much like I was just walking on eggshells around myself. Like there are certain notes that constantly cracked, and I could never predictably like do anything about it. So it's just kind of one of those things that as a person who has been through something like that, I guess I'm just putting it out there. I don't really agree. I don't really agree with this concept of growing into a flute or having a flute kind of push your boundaries. I do think it's really fun to try flutes that don't really match you very well, because it can help you, achieve a deeper understanding of your own flute and your own body. That part I do agree with. However, being stuck on a flute that you're uncomfortable with and being forced to grind is just not, I personally have not experienced as a player, as a teacher, and as a student. I've never experienced that to be something that actually helped me. But reviewing different flutes definitely helped me. So, yeah. Yeah, you also feel like it was a trend before? Yeah, there you go. Exactly. See, Nicholas likes that resistance. Just another flute guy here likes the resistance, right? So like, it obviously does match, you know, a large set of people, you know? So like, it's a good flute. It's a good, you know, it's made well, you know? But yeah, it's just not one of those things that I personally think, just none of my experience has pointed towards that grinding on a flute that you're uncomfortable on is ever going to help you. And this is part of where Woodify comes in. I did not plan that segue, guys. I did not plan that segue. But this is part of how Woodify can help you, because if you're uncomfortable on your flute, you can find a Woodify that will help. And we're just kind of exploring today in what other way the Woodify can help. Last time it was a bunch of Woodifys on the same flute. Now it's the same Woodify on different flutes. All right? Okay. So, before I play, I do need to tell you guys it is cold, but due to my heater and my fan being right underneath my flute microphones, I cannot leave them on during the stream. Now, I do know that as I keep streaming, I usually get warmer and warmer on my own. I'm not sure about this room. Hopefully my computer can sort of help heat the room a little bit. So I might be flat. I'm just gonna straight up tell you guys, I might be flat. I hope you guys are okay with that. I pushed the head joints all the way in, and we'll see what happens from there. Hey Michael, how are you? Yeah, resistance should not be the thing you rely on. Exactly, that's what I think. So anyway. Also, hello, Victor. I see you in the chat. Okay, shall we? Let's get this show on the road and put on the Woodifys. So I'm going to start with the cherry because I know I like it. So let me just switch back to this screen while I put it on. So I think what I'm going to do, because I know that I need to put it on the head joint here. So we're going to loosen this guy up. There we go. And I believe what it was the pin needs to face you. Actually, we're going to have the pin facing downwards, just so it, yeah, looks a little nicer. Do we want the pin facing upwards or down? I don't think it actually matters, but looks wise, I feel like that looks better. So we're gonna have it, I'm gonna nudge it up a little bit so it's not just above the neck. I'm just gonna guesstimate around there. So I'm gonna tighten that up. By the way, guys, while I'm doing this, if you'll check the video description, you will see that there is a extended Black Friday promo. I believe you can get 2 of these for cheaper. Let me check my own video to see. Yes, exactly. So for you guys, Ale has extended the Black Friday sale. So the code is BlackWoodify25, so 25 for 25% off. Black-Woodify-25, so that's in the description below. And the promotion is extended for you guys, my viewers, until December 7th. So you guys got 2 more days to shop for this. But yeah, you can get 2 Woodifys for 25% off. So essentially you could get these 2 for 25% off. And I put the exact product links for these 2 Woodifys below as well. Okay. Let's hope that that is where I want it to be. We'll hope. Put that together. Okay, I'm going to push it all the way in because I can tell we are definitely cold. And then feel free to let me know if I'm getting sharp and I'll pull out, you know, just to get some of that viewer engagement in, you know. Oh, I'm so sorry, Michael. Oh, all the love to you guys. Hey, Stacy. It's okay. No worries about being late. Okay. All right. Let's give this a whirl. See how I like it. I think I want this angled. Yeah, there we go. So I do have it pretty snug. We'll see if it's too snug. I still like this Woodify. And now that I've nudged it up a little bit, it's making Yamaha's way easier to play because I don't feel like I have to slam it all in the back of my mouth. But let's keep playing and see if I need to nudge it up a little higher. That feels good because that's like further forward in my mouth. I think this is a pretty good spot for it. I'm okay with that. Okay, so let's try out a few other of my like typical things. By the way, maybe just so for people who are tuning in right now, let's turn on my notes. My notes. There are my notes. So we're on the Woodify cherry ring on the Yamaha 222. Okay. I just realized I need to play a little bit without the ring on. So I'm going to take it off just so I can feel the exact effect of what's happening. And then I feel like I can, because I typically know how a Yamaha 222 plays, but I feel like now that I'm playing it with the ring on, I'm like, this really doesn't feel like a Yamaha anymore. I need to kind of remind myself how a Yamaha plays. Oh, Mir, hello. Yeah, everything is slammed back. Like, it's just suddenly slammed back, and it's not as round inside of my mouth. Yeah. Yeah, the shape of my mouth right now, the shape of my mouth is like more squashed. It's like more like if I'm saying like with the cherry is more like I can feel my tongue kind of coming up and sort of squashing the space a little bit. Yeah, that's way further back. Way further back. Yeah, my mouth really doesn't want to do the like flat shape in the mouth. Especially for the low notes. It really doesn't want to do it. So I think that's why I'm a lot more comfortable with the cherry. So I just realized that because my mouth is so small, the prospect of making my tongue further back, especially with the double tongue, where you have to kind of like go up and flap your tongue up and down like this, having to do that, like tuck my tongue back and flap like that, because my mouth is so small, I don't actually have a lot of room to tuck my tongue further back. I do often kind of feel like my tongue is too large for my mouth already. So that's interesting. And also because the shape of the like mouth inside still has to be relatively flat. I really feel like I don't have a lot of room. I think maybe the way that I make room in my mouth is to play more circular, like more rounded. I think that's actually what I'm doing. This is very revealing about how I play. Okay. I think I want to let's do a little bit of the Genshin theme, because it goes, middle, high, low. so definitely confirmed that the shape of the mouth is flat. Like inside of the mouth, the vowel that I'm making is like pretty flat. It's like wide, flat. It is causing a little bit of tension on the outside of my mouth in order to maintain that shape inside of my mouth. So this is one of the things that can make it very uncomfortable for players. If you are, like we were talking about earlier, if you are stuck on a flute that doesn't match you super well, it can cause a lot of extra tension because you're forced to hold your mouth in a very specific way that the flute wants you to. So that is what's happening to me right here. The other thing is that I don't know if it really came across to you guys because I could really feel where the flute wants those high notes especially. But I do kind of feel like it's dipping pretty far back in my mouth. Like I feel like I'm going in order to play those high notes. So let's now do the same theme, but with the cherry. We got to keep some constants, you know. So I will be playing harmonics, doing some, double tonguing, and then doing this song on all three of these, which is why this stream is going to take a really long time. So, okay. Let's do this. Okay. So we want it like this. Okay. And I'm going to do it pretty tight so that you guys can really, because the tighter that you put these, the tighter that you bind these Woodifys around your flute, the more intense the effect of the wood will be on that flute. Okay, yeah, that's pretty darn tight. Okay, so that's a little bit high. I think we liked it like around there, around there, like a little bit higher off of where the neck is. And this will just kind of tuck everything forward for me, which is what I want. Okay, so let's try this now. We've already done harmonics. I haven't done tonguing on this with the cherry. So let's do that. Oh, now that I've put it into the flute, now I'm like, that might be a tad higher than what we were doing before. Okay, I think that's closer to where it was before. Yeah, okay, let's try that. Oh, immediately. Those muscles just relax. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, so very clearly, my face wants the inside of my mouth wants a little bit more vertical space than the flute without this Yamaha 222 without the Woodify ring would force me to essentially kind of grind upwards, which you don't want to do. Yeah, suddenly I can drop my jaw. Oh, it feels so much better. Okay, I don't know if you guys noticed that, but the articulation is way better. And do you know why? It's because I don't have to tongue so far back. What was happening before was when I was tonguing so far back, there's just too much tongue. I have to go like this and then go like this. I don't have to do that here. Now my tongue is just forward, which means that the back of the tongue is not like that. This is so much more space. had to readjust to my normal way of tonguing because I was still kind of doing it the old way. But yeah, this way is a lot nicer. Jen, I do think the tone sounds richer too. And I legitimately think it's because the back of my tongue is not in the way anymore. Okay, now we got to do the Genshin main theme. And then once we have that all done, I'm going to write my conclusions in this little box here. Okay, just so that we can save those notes to look back on later in the stream. Yeah, it's way more comfortable. I think I may have nudged it too high. I'm just going to nudge it back down a hair, just a hair, and see if those high notes are more comfortable for me. It's a little too far back, so I'm going to nudge it back up. Do you guys hear how that like swooped a lot better? And like I wasn't like, you know, shooting in the dark for it. It's like sitting, that A is sitting where I want it to sit. It's like a nasal strip for your flute. Like suddenly you open up. Now, granted, only if you switch to a Woodify ring, the wood, have it like it needs. cannot speak. Okay, only if you choose a wood that actually matches you. It just so happens that the cherry matches me very well. So that's why I'm able to just kind of like nudge it up and down until it like feels good. The wasabi point, exactly. Opens that right up. Yeah. Okay, I think you guys can tell that made a huge difference. So let's write down everything that we have found, and then this will essentially be our hard data that we can compare against when we switch over to the 482. So let's write this up. There we go. Write this down. So we have a flat vowel in the mouth changed to round vowel, like a O, okay? Placing ring slightly higher than the neck. Like, we're not putting it right next to the neck. We're putting it a little bit higher. I want to say, okay, I'll measure it. How many millimeters higher am I putting it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish, 5 to 6 millimeters is kind of where I'm putting it. I think it's closer to 6 millimeters. So about 5 to 6 millimeters above the neck. Okay, so that's where we're placing it, because that's where it matches me. And let's see. So I'll put here that it allows Joe to drop the jaw. So the tonguing, due to placement of ring, easier because tongue is not jammed into back of mouth. Okay, those are kind of our main things that we noticed, that I noticed. What types do I have to try for this Woodify? I blame that on the cold. Excuse me, guys. Okay. I should have taken Victor's advice and had my water sooner. Hey, Ryan, how are you? Congrats on the 1K subs. So we have the cherry and we have the walnut and white ebony insert to try. So, okay, let's do this up. We're now going to try this on the Yamaha 482. Right? Yes, it says so on the flute. Okay. So let's change this up. We are going to have a different, here, we'll do this. Okay, cool. So we'll do that. Let's change this to read 482. So first we need to just play the 482 on its own. Looks like I probably need to do a more intense rockstro grip. Yeah, I'm gonna do a pretty intense rockstro grip so that it's easier for me to play in line. Okay, let's do this up. I think that's actually too intense. rotate it back just a hair. Okay, I'm legitimately surprised at how forward those lowest notes are. I'm very, very surprised. I feel like they should not be. The other thing I'm immediately noticing is that I don't have to squeeze my, like I don't have to grind my jaw upwards in order to maintain the shape. This one is actually already more rounded. The vowel is still flat. It's not as squished though. You know, it's a little bit more open, I would say. Okay, I just want to try a little bit higher because I am surprised. I feel like the 482 is redesigned from what I would expect. It is way more forward playing than I would expect for a Yamaha. So just some thoughts swirling in my mind. If I put the Woodify cherry on this, I don't actually think I need to, I don't have to anchor it as tightly. Like, I don't have to tighten it so much. So I can actually keep the Woodify looser on this in order to achieve that more rounded vowel inside of my mouth that my mouth likes. Okay? Not everyone's mouth is going to like it. It's just my mouth. So that's interesting. This idea that on this different level of the same brand, you actually can play with the how tight you need to anchor the Woodify onto the flute. That it's interesting. I didn't actually see this coming because I assumed that I was just going to tighten it at the same tightness for every single flute to see how it would react. But my reaction right now is no, I really shouldn't do that because the point is to make it comfortable for me. So yeah, it's interesting that one level higher, one or two levels higher, because I think there's like a 380 or something like that. I don't think I'm going to have to tighten the Woodify so much. Yeah. I am liking the Woodify a lot, Kami-chan. I really am. And it's really interesting. Oh, I didn't see this coming. Okay. All right. I see you. Okay, let's do some articulation, and then we'll do the Genshin theme. So the tonguing is still a little bit further back than what I would prefer. It's just not as far back as it was on the 222. So this is now making me think that when I put the Woodify cherry on, it should not be as high on the tube as it is currently on the 222. So right now it's about 5 to 6 millimeters higher than the neck. I think I should only put it 3 to 4 millimeters higher above the neck for this one. So we're already tweaking the tightness. We are now tweaking where it's sitting on the tube to create the sound that I want. Hopefully this can demonstrate to you guys how best to use your Woodify, because you want to have a really good idea of how you play and how you play on your flute versus how you want to play on your flute. If you know those two things, then you'll know how to adjust the Woodify onto your flute such that it will be exactly the way that you want to play. Okay, Genshin. Okay, with extended playing, I am starting to feel some of the cramp. So that flattened, slightly like flattened vowel inside of my mouth, like that shape that I need to hold, it does take a toll over time. It is easier than on the 222. Like it's not as, like it's more open than the 222, but yeah, I am finding with like an extended period of time, like just playing through that song alone, I'm like, okay, yeah, that can start to take a toll. So yeah, even if you do try a flute and you're like, oh yeah, this is great, I just need to do a slight adjustment, you need to play for a while and see if it truly does not cramp your style. Literally. So yeah, so that is, it's more open than the 222. It's slightly more forward than the 222. It naturally is also like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I can definitely tell there, it's naturally more rich. The whole thing is sterling silver. I'm getting kind of like more complex, darker tone colors as well. Hey Gliss, how are you? Okay, so what do we want to do when we put the Woodify on here then is we want to not put it too high. So I think we're going to aim for about 2 to 3 millimeters higher than the neck, just to nudge it a hair forward, but not too much forward. Because the tonguing was still just a hair too far back for my liking. Like I just wanted it to be a hair more forward. But like the placement of those high notes were like almost there. They're just like a tiny bit too far back than what I wanted. And then most importantly for me, I need something that will allow me to drop my jaw. I think that Woodify is going to do it. So that's the thought right now. So not as tight, a little lower on the tube, on the head, like lower on the head joint. And then we should be good to go. So let's try that. We'll first take it off of this bad boy. So loosen that up. Yep, nice and loose now. Okay. Okay. Oh, there we go. Put that in, and then we don't want it too tight, and we want it closer to the neck. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna tighten it a bit first. Okay, that's looser, but not crazy loose. And then we'll have it be closer to the neck. That was a little bit too loose. A little looser than that. Okay, we'll do that and see if that's enough. Definitely looser. Closer to the neck. Okay, let's try that then. And I am pushing all the way in because it's really cold in here. But yeah, feel free if any of you have like perfect pitch or something and you think that I'm getting really sharp, let me know and I'll pull out. Okay, let's try this. Oh, yes. That's just like immediate relief. I'm reaching that far, by the way, for my water because I'm trying to keep it as far away from these flutes as possible. Okay. Like I can feel where that C wants to be, that high C. I have a suspicion I need to lighten this up a little bit more. I almost feel like I'm dropping my jaw too far now. So like that shape isn't a little bit too round. So we're just going to kind of untighten it a little bit. Yeah, and that immediately made it a little bit flatter again. Like the inside of my mouth made it a little bit flatter. so sorry, guys. I blew your ears out. We'll do it one more time on the correct microphone. Okay, the fact that I can recreate it immediately to me really confirms what I'm feeling. So I felt like when it was too tight, and that was already like loosened from the way it was on the 222, which, by the way, it looks so sad right now. This looks so sad, not put together. Let me at least put it together. There we go. That looks a little better. Okay. So when I first put this on just now, it was already looser than it was on the 222, but it because it was tighter, it was creating a more intense effect of what the cherry does to, you know, pretty much any flute. Is it causes the space in your mouth to become rounder. And I felt like it went too far, because as I went higher and higher, I noticed that I had the opposite problem of of the normal Yamaha. In the normal Yamaha, I'm feeling like I have to really kind of create this flat space in the mouth. Yeah, decapitated. But yeah, I feel like I had to create this flat space in my mouth, so it was causing these muscles right here to really grind in order to keep my jaw in the right space for it. But then I had the opposite problem when this was too tight, and I was dropping my jaw it had to be locked, locked very open, which causes other tension. So I'm okay, that's why I loosened it up a little right now, because I was I ideally want still that open sound, but I need it a hair flatter so that my jaw can stay up. So a little bit, it doesn't have to keep dropped all the way. Now, this is not going to be the same for you guys, okay? I am just going to be a broken record and keep reminding you guys that I literally have a child-sized mouth, okay? So, I do need to kind of be very aware of am I dropping my jaw too far, and on top of, am I grinding my jaw up? So, okay, that's interesting. So I think the tightness definitely is something to consider. The other thing is the placement of this. I think the placement of this is perfect. I think I predicted that bang on, that I did not need it to be any higher. So it did need to be higher in the 222. But let's try out some articulation, so single tonguing, double tonguing, and see how that goes. So much more comfortable. My tongue is allowed to be forward, so the back of my tongue doesn't have to scrunch. Oh, it's so much better. Oh, it's so much more comfortable. And you guys can probably hear it sounds a lot more open. Yeah, very comfortable. So yeah, I think I did not need it to be I didn't need to move it forward too much. It was just a hair, and having it this high up the neck is that's just enough to move it a tiny bit forward, just a tiny Okay, very good. You guys are going to have this memorized. If not already, we're going to do the Genshin main theme again. And we are going to go through the entire main theme, even though there are repeats and stuff like that. Again, it's to test, you know, like what would it be like to play an entire song all the way through? Are there any, you know, like things that crop up as I continue to play longer and longer? So let's do this. Yeah, I'm definitely not feeling that cramping anymore. It's just because I'm allowed to let my jaw stay in its like natural location. And that makes a huge difference. I think that's the really interesting thing about these Woodifys is that if you know how the material of the Woodify ring works, so in this case, the cherry, so the cherry makes things really round or inside of your mouth, you can really like fine tune how your flute plays pretty much no matter what flute you have. So if you guys are curious as to, you know, the different shapes that these different woods make, that's what my last review was about. So if you go all the way to the very end, there's this hilarious drawing of all of them. Actually, let's see if I can grab it for you guys. I'm unsure if I like archived it already. Let's see if I can find it. Because, you know, might as well take a little bit of a break. Let's see. Drawings. I've got it. So let me window capture, and we'll do picture. Oops, sorry guys. Oh, good grief. Oh, there it is. Sorry for the scuff, guys. hello again. But this was the picture that I drew last time. Let me just crop that for you guys. Yeah, so the cherry is the one that I'm trying right now. I'll just like put it, let me just put it down here so you guys can see what's going on. The walnut's going to be interesting because the walnut to me plays like a Yamaha. So like, I don't know, like, does it just amplify what the Yamaha does? So there you go. Sorry for the scuff, guys. But I figured that you guys might want to, you know, have some fun looking at, you know, what I drew last time. But yeah, okay, let's write down our findings here. So what we're finding here, oops, is, first thing is, so Woodify does not need to be as tight as the 222. So because flute is already more open in the mouth. The other thing is 482 seems to be more forward playing. So Woodify does not or only needs to be 2 to 3 millimeters higher than neck. So, oh, right. And I'll make the another note here. With extended playing, still cramping without Woodify aid. Yeah, because we need that more open space. Okay. All right. So from what we're working with here, I'm going to guess that that is exact, like we're probably going to have to make very similar adjustments going into the 787. Let's see how the heavy wall plays into it as well. I'm very curious about that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's, I guess, take a drink of water first. Okay. And then I'm going to try the 787 now. Yes. Is it 787? Yes. Oh, it is a heavy boy. Oh, wow. Okay. That's going to be interesting for me. Let's go here. We're now going to do the 787. And then for our notes, we're going to make some room. So making some room. Okay. So let's give the 787 a try. Oh, is this so very, very heavy. I am going to pop out some of the plugs here that I know I don't need, because I know I will need them for the 787. So both ring keys I'm going to plug. Okay. Let's do this. So we'll plug that one, and then we're going to plug this one. So both ring finger keys. I'm not even going to try. Okay, so You, Kinga, Sarah, good question. If I have time, I can try it on my copper alloy afterwards. But right now, what we want to do is see what happens when you stay within the same brand. You know, like keep some constants, you know. Okay, we're going to be playing this bad boy, the 787. We're going to do the same things, the harmonics, then we're going to do some articulation, and then we're going to do the Genshin main theme. Here we go. All right, immediate impression is much rounder already, like way more round. Interesting. Okay, I do not actually think it is my imagination. I think there's been a redesign. I think there's been a redesign of the higher level Yamahas. They're all more forward playing now. So if you liked them being back playing before, you can get a Woodify ring. And what you do is you place it on the neck. If you place it on the neck, it'll jam everything back. Okay. I think there's been a redesign. That's very comfortable for me. I'm very surprised. Like, I should not be this comfortable on a Yamaha. I really should not be. Like, I should not be resonating those notes that far forward in the mouth. I think for this one, I may not want to play very much with like where that range of motion is. I think I want it to be pretty darn close to the neck. I think. Let's keep going. Let's do some articulation. That's so forward. Okay, if you gave this to me in a blind test, I don't think I would. I do not think that I would say that this is a Yamaha. There's some. I think there's been some redesign happening. Sorry, I hit the wrong thing. But I was saying that I think there's been some redesign happening. I really think so. This does not feel like a Yamaha to me. I think I'm going to put the ring right next to the neck. I don't need to change it, I think. Wait, we're going to go back to harmonics, and I'm going to see how easy it is for me to get all the way up to the high C. Indeed, a couple eye rashes back. I'm sorry. That was a really funny typo. Yes. Okay. So when they switched the numbering to 221 to 222, basically to the even numbered ones, you think that there was a redesign. I would not be surprised if that is true. I'm not going to confirm it because I don't know, but I would not be surprised if that is true. This feels like a complete redesign. Like, this is very forward playing. I'm shocked. I should not have been able to do that. I really should not have been able to do that. But I feel like the 222 is still pretty darn close to how it used to be. I did see your suggestion to do it on my old student flute, which I actually have behind me. If we have time, we'll do it. So especially with their higher ends. Yeah. Like, you guys can like see my reaction to this, right? That the higher and higher level we get, the more I'm like, this is playing less and less like a Yamaha. Like, that I know. Interesting. Okay. I guess at this point, it's just going to see what the Woodify does to this. Because, yeah, I guess it would just make it rounder, which I guess would be a little bit more comfortable for me. Are you a prophet? Okay, let's do the Genshin Impact main theme. And then just to see if I still get that cramping feel, we'll see. All right. Couple of things. One is I really should not play a heavy wall because I think it's too heavy for me. Like, I can feel that I feel like I've just been deadlifting a really heavy flute. Second is I do still, especially with like kind of like an extended song, I do still need to do a bit of the cramping. Not as much as the 482, but I need to do it a bit. Like, I still need to kind of they'll kind of make it like a kind of wide sort of sound, like vowel. And if I played twice as long, I would say about twice as long as I just did, then I think I will feel the cramp. Whereas on the 482, I was already feeling the cramp by the end of the song. So I do still think my mouth would still prefer to have it kind of like opened up and rounder. So we will, but we're just not going to tighten it too much, and we're going to have it sit right next to the neck. So let's try that and see what happens. I'm very, very curious. Okay. Older head joints, the older Yamaha head joints, not the easiest to play. I recall when I did my review on them years ago, I believe in that older design. I recall also having a bit of a tough time with it because they were just so back playing that my mouth just didn't have room for it. Sounds gorgeous on other people, by the way, but for me it was just like woof. So I mean, if you wanted to recreate the old Yamaha sound, you know what? Maybe it's a good thing we've got the Walnut, because the Walnut to me plays like a Yamaha. So if you wanted that, like, if you want to recreate the old Yamaha feel, I wonder if just popping on that Walnut is going to do it on these like higher level flutes. That's interesting. I did not see that coming. Absolutely did not see that coming. Okay, so let me pop this. Oh yeah, this is a thicker boy. Yeah, you can tell the heavy wall. Definitely, I was like, ooh, I need to like loosen up the Woodify a little bit to get it on. Okay, we're gonna place it right next to the neck, like right next to it, because I personally, I don't feel like I need any higher. So okay, and then we're just gonna tighten it just enough that it doesn't move, and it is totally still moving. Okay, give me a sec, guys. Okay, and then we'll tuck it. Gonna tuck it right next to, like right next to the neck. Right next to it. Okay, we've done it. And then I'm going to adjust. I'm actually just going to tuck it right next to the neck. Just tucking it right against it. Okay. Let's try this now. Yeah, I think my mouth appreciates the more rounded tone, the rounded vowel inside the mouth. Okay, because it's rounder, I think it's ironically actually making that highest harmonic a little bit resistant. But the rest of the notes are amazing. Like Steven noticed. I also really like how this sounds too. Yeah, the heavy wall, very beefy. Yes, yes, yes. So the nice thing that I am noticing is that if you tuck your Woodify literally like so that it's touching the neck, like touching the top of the barrel, it doesn't move that range of motion. Just doesn't move it. It's the same. So if you don't want to mess with that, just tuck it right next to the neck. Yeah. So dark and had some depth. Exactly. Like, you can tell in the moment I played this, it was like, with that just kind of like rounded out inside of my mouth, it's like suddenly it just rings, you know, because it matches the inside of my mouth. When you have to sort of do like mouth gymnastics and like kind of like force the inside of your mouth to be a certain vowel, a certain shape in order to match the flute, that's where you get some of that tension leaking into the sound. It's not that you can't sound good, but you can't let go. That's the issue. Like, you can only truly express yourself really effectively in music if you can let go on your flute. And the only way that you can let go on your flute is if you're allowed to relax and be your natural self. Yeah. You want to hear on the head joint alone? Okay. Sure. You mean just like this? Okay. Tuning can be, you know, improved. Oh, interesting. I wanted to read what you're saying here. So resistance definitely helps with the lower register. So you wonder why there was a trend, especially here in North America, where teachers will make their students get heavy wall to beef up their lower register, but the higher register sounds squeaked out and forced. Yes, I feel like I cannot agree with you more. That was exactly my issue, working with students who were placed on heavy wall flutes, not matched to heavy wall flutes. So for my students who have been matched to heavy wall flutes, they're great, fantastic, just flourishing, blossoming, just having a great time, totally relaxed. But for my students who were placed on heavy walls, that's exactly the issue that we've had to work through, is like they really force their air, you know? And I'm just kind of like, oh, honey, you don't have to blow your brains out to play the flute, you know? So, oh, you're curious of how it's going to affect the pitch. Okay, yes, it's very steady. Yeah. In a way, I think part of it could be that it's steady because it feels comfortable to me. Like, if a flute is uncomfortable to you, you have to like hold your mouth in a weird way, I personally find that it makes, one, it distracts you. So you can't actually even really pay attention to like intonation and stuff like that. And two, it's just harder. Like, it's just harder to control your air. And if it's harder to control your air, it's harder to control your intonation. Like the angle, you know, how much air you're blowing in, et cetera, et cetera. Do I also remember the trend where people will put rice or beans in their crown to improve resonance? Yes. I had friends who did it. I can't believe you remember. Oh my gosh. Does this date us? Have any of the rest of you heard of this trend where people put rice or beans in their crown? Like in the crown? Please don't do it. I'm just gonna straight up tell you, you don't need to. There's a lot out there. You can choose something that will have just been designed to be the way it is for you. Okay. And you can get a Woodify to just kind of make it be comfortable for you. How do I feel about the vibrations? You've never heard of the rice trend. There you go. I'll let Nicholas explain it. Yeah, it was, I feel like it was earlier than 2015. It was earlier. Like it started earlier, but maybe because you know how like these sorts of trends, like especially earlier, they kind of like swept through the flute world fairly slowly. I feel like I heard the rice and bean trend like 3 to 5 years earlier than that. Like I recall hearing about it in university. So closer to 2010, 2011. That's when I heard. And now you guys can calculate how old I am. Yeah, it's earlier. Like I recall that I was actively in my bachelor's in like 2010, something like that. It could have been even as early as 2009. But yeah, but you know, going back to Stephen's question about how I feel about the vibrations in the body, personally, I feel that once I put the Woodify on, the vibrations are a lot more, they're a lot more what I expect, if that makes sense. Because different flutes obviously vibrate differently. I guess it makes sense that if it's changing the shape of the inside of my mouth, that causes the flute to vibrate differently and in a way that I expect it to, because I'm more comfortable with it. I think. Were people really putting rice in their flutes? Yeah, and dried beans. They'd unscrew the cork and then put it. I did not. I was too chicken. I was too chicken to do it. I was so chicken. I did not do it. What weighted crowns? Ms. Levant is asking. I remember those too. I remember that trend. Yep, I remember it. I also had friends in on that trend. Yes. But yes, the weighted crown actually does make a difference. So just so you guys know, flute makers are actually experimenting with that. They're just straight up experimenting with it right now. So I would say it changes your experience. It does change the behavior of how the flute plays. So if it changes in such a way that it is positive for you, then you will feel that it helps. If it changes in such a way that your mouth is like, what the heck is this? Then you're not going to like it. Anyway, we're going off topic now. So let's try out. I think it's Genshin now. Yes. So we'll do the Genshin main theme all the way through. I can play that relaxed now. The only part that I feel like I haven't quite gotten is the low register. So I do want to mess with that a little bit. Give me a sec, guys. Oh, fallen leader. It's okay. Every flute has someone that they match and others that they really don't match. It's all good. Don't worry about it, man. Okay. Yes, much more comfortable. Now those low notes, they're just way more forward than I would ever expect a Yamaha to be. I think it's easier for me to get them with the Woodify ring on because this cherry wood makes the inside of my mouth, like makes that shape rounder. And for me, it is easier for me to control like where I'm like kind of pushing that air bubble if it is rounder. If the shape is too flat for me, I feel like I have to like cramp my mouth in order to create that shape, and then sticking that shape really forward in the mouth, like so forward that I feel like it's like out here, is like nigh impossible. So without the ring, I think you guys may have noticed I had a bit of trouble just like getting those low notes to really speak. This time around, I just was a little bit surprised at how, like I had to really treat it as if I was playing a Brandon head joint. Like this combo makes me feel like I'm playing a Brandon head joint. It's super interesting. Like you guys can hear how comfortable I sound, right? And it's because this feels like a large, heavy Brandon to me. And I'm like, it's because this. It's because of the Woodify. It's very interesting. Okay. So, also, I just wanted to mention to Fallen Leader, we just had a discussion about the newer models of Yamaha. So ever since, like Nicholas, just another flute guy here, is guessing that when they switched the numbering system from like 221 to like 222 to like the even numbers, that during that time there might have been a redesign. And because the higher and higher level flute you get to, the more they're forward playing, which if you ever felt like the Yamaha was fighting you in the older models, it's probably because it's too back playing for you. Like all of the range of motion in terms of where you like really concentrate that air bubble in your mouth is like way too far back. Nowadays it's much more forward. So let's write our notes down here of what we noticed this time. So this time it's Woodify now right next to neck. No need to play with range of motion. So we left it like in terms of the tightness, it's sort of like it's anchored on, but it's not tight. So I'll put here Woodify not tight, just enough to round out the bottom of the shape or vowel shape in mouth. And that helped me drop my jaw and play very relaxed. Allows Joe to drop jaw and play relaxed. Okay, and then what else were we saying? Right. Rounded shape makes it easier for Joe to play low notes forward. Yeah, that's really what I'm noticing here. Let me just move that down a bit there, just so that's nicer to read. Okay, there we go. Okay, so those are my main notes on the Woodify on the 787. So the conclusion here is, even within the same brand, you will have different needs. So you can clearly hear that there's more and more refinement as you get higher and higher up in the levels. And you guys probably noticed that the Woodify, in terms of like how tight we're anchoring it, tightening it to the flute, and also like how high or how low we're going. You guys will notice that I did the most Woodify adjustments on the beginner model flute. So this is interesting because I think if you have a beginner and intermediate model flute, because in those ranges, there's less customization. So the Woodify essentially will be your customization. However, does it sound as nice as on a higher level flute plus Woodify? I think the answer is very obvious. No. I think the craftsmanship of the flute is still very, very important. But what the Woodify can do is just make it so much more comfortable for you to play. So you can still play on a flute that you have access to, that you can afford. Because I do know that, around the world, not everyone has a flute center right next to them, right? And like, and a lot of people are living in places where they cannot have like crazy access to a whole bunch of flutes out there. This is actually why I did today's review on 3 Yamahas, because Yamahas, I kind of checked it with a few people in the industry, and everyone agreed with me that globally Yamaha and Yamaha flutes is the most accessible. Like, chances are, if you're out there somewhere in the world and you have just like one music shop, not even that close to you, but your closest music shop, you can bet that music shop is going to have Yamaha flutes. Like pretty much, yes. Like, this is why I did this review on Yamahas, because I feel like most of you guys are going to be playing on Yamahas. So you can see now how I am like adjusting these flutes to match me. And you can hear how much more comfortable I am. I don't have to like cramp anything or anything. So that's why I had that scuff moment where I was looking for this picture that I figured out last time of sort of like the different shapes that these different woods will do. So if you find that you are, in the inside of your mouth does not match mine, which not everyone will, right? You can see if any of these shapes will work for you. And if these shapes match the inside of your mouth more naturally, then that's the Woodify that you want to go with, that can allow you to, to really customize the comfort of your flute to you. Yeah. Your closest flute specific store is 4 to 5 hours away. Exactly. So like for me as a teacher, I have the very good fortune of teaching a ton of students around the world. And I can definitely tell you guys that Yamaha by far is like just the most globally accessible and available flute. So if you get something like a Woodify, that can help you adjust the flute to something that is very comfortable for you. All right. The fallen leader, Woodify is not meant to make your flute sound like wood. No. Like even the maker of Woodify, like, because we interviewed him actually. I recorded an interview with him in the last review. So if you want to go check that out, you can hear it from his mouth what he's creating these Woodifys for. So the Woodify is not meant for you to change the sound of your flute to that of a Woodify. It makes your flute more comfortable for you to play so that you can get better without cramping and without having to do some weird mouth gymnastics. You can express yourself much more freely. You can just blow into the flute without really thinking about it because the Woodify has basically customized your flute to you. So I think this is awesome. Now, I will spend the next hour now trying it with the Walnut. This is interesting because I think that my suspicion is that this is going to make these, especially the higher level flutes, feel more like the old design of Yamahas that I remember. But I do need to take a little bit of a bathroom break. I need to drink some water, go do a bathroom break. So I'll be back in a few minutes, nice and refreshed and ready to go. And we will spend the next hour experimenting with the Walnut. Now that we have an idea of what we need to change, how we need to change things, what to expect, I think this next hour is going to be a little bit more guided. Like I won't feel like I'm shooting in the dark so much. Like these reviews, I always feel like I'm shooting in the dark in the beginning until I start seeing a pattern arise. Yeah. You're very welcome, Fallen Leader. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that Woodify is like, and the weirdest thing too is that what I notice is that the marketing for Woodify, I don't think it ever really says that it's going to make your flute sound like a wooden instrument. It more so what it says is that it changes the resonance of your flute and it changes how your flute resonates, which I feel like is basically the exterior version of what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about is like interior in your mouth. It is actually changing how it resonates, which is why you have to use a different vowel shape in your mouth, right? Because like that shape needs to be different if it's going to resonate differently, right? So anyway, I'm going to go take my bathroom break. You guys can continue discussing and nerding. Have a great time. I will be right back. we're back. I'm all freshened up. Gonna drink more water. Okay, so we're now going to play around with the walnut and white ebony, right? Yes, okay. Exactly, walnut and white ebony. Okay, we shall see if this essentially changes the Woodify kind of like back to, or it changes if the Woodify changes the Yamaha back to like the old design, essentially. Michael, I have to say, I appreciate the trust that you have in us, but I need you to recognize that this is a public space. And if you share too much, that's not really good for your privacy. We care about you, and we we support you. But this is a public space, and this is a sponsored stream. So I'm really sorry. I do not think that it's appropriate for you to drop in too many things that are too private for in your life. But it's totally okay to let us know that you're going through something, and we support you. Okay, so let's look at the Woodify. We will, I think we're going to have to say this is the Woodify walnut and white ebony on Yamaha. We'll say 222. Okay, so I think what we need to do is alignment is center, and then we need to make this quite a bit smaller. Ooh, there we go. And then for our notes here, we'll need to make that smaller as well. Okay. Notes. Whoops. I think I need to start typing in here a little bit. Hello. Oh. Hello. Okay. So let's move that. There we go. So now I have something to drag. Okay. And then let's make that a little bigger. Okay, perfect. Okay. We're just going to review very quickly how this feels. Ooh, the sun. Hey. Ooh, cold in here. think that's enough of a review. So I'm definitely having to kind of create like a sort of vowel. It's really crampy for me. So you guys can see what a regular walnut, yeah, this is a regular walnut Woodify shape. So it kind of creates a little cone shape where the back end of it is really wide. So this one that we're working on is a walnut and white ebony, not a walnut and zebrano. So I'm unsure what it's going to do. We shall see. So I'm going to just pop this on. I am going to pop it on higher though, because I do know that I want everything to be a little bit more forward. So we'll do that. I've not tried an open hole guo flute yet. At least I don't think so. Were the ones that I tried open hole? Maybe. I don't know. Okay. We're going to put it up a little higher based on what we had to do for the cherry. And let's make it pretty tight. Well, if I can. Let's see if I can make it really tight. All right. I'm still moving around quite a bit. Let me see. Okay. Okay, I definitely tightened that. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. Okay. Okay, I think that's as tight as it wants to go. Okay, we'll leave it at that then. So a little bit higher. Quite a bit higher, that is. And we'll see how this plays. Yeah, no, I didn't have anything on there. Yeah, no Woodify, nothing. Now I have this on. So I'm expecting it's going to force me to create more of a cone shape in my mouth, where the wide end of the cone is in the back of my mouth. But I'm curious what the white ebony is going to do. Let's see. So let's have that about yay high. We'll see. Interesting. Okay, it's definitely a cone shape. I'm trying to figure out how the cone tilts though, because it does not tilt the same way it does in this picture in here. does the opposite. The white ebony makes it do the opposite. So the cone, apparently on the walnut and zebrano, will, so the point is in the front. So it's a very, like, I actually have to make, in what I can feel, a smaller embouchure hole. So the aperture between my lips is actually smaller. But that wide cone part is kind of laying like this. So it's laying down for the low notes. So it's laying like essentially, like I feel like I have to tuck my tongue down and back. So it lays down, and then as it goes higher and higher, it rotates like this. So that open, no, opposite. It rotates like this. Opposite. Sorry, I was thinking about this one. Let me play it again. Yeah, opposite. So tip of the cone in the front, so you have a very small aperture, and then it starts out against the roof of your mouth, and then as you go higher and higher, the whole thing rotates like this. So your highest notes, that wide part of the cone is tucked in like the bottom of your mouth. So it's cool because it forces you to open up your mouth to play high notes, and you get that really nice resonance. Yeah, so the cone is tilting like in the mouth. So I'll show my side profile. So the cone, wide part of the cone up here for low notes, tip of the cone down here. And then as you go higher and higher, the cone tips like this. So then by the time you hit your highest notes, that wide end of the cone is in kind of like in your, at least in the lower half of your mouth, in front of your tongue. You got to kind of tuck your tongue down and back a bit. And then that point is up here. That's interesting. I wonder how that's going to make interesting. So you don't have to go forward and back. You're just rotating. So that actually might be really nice for, in terms of controlling how these react to you. It just so happens that if your mouth enjoys that kind of motion and that feels natural to you, then you can essentially do exactly the same way that I like played around with the cherry on these instruments. That's super interesting. Let's play more. Yes. What Just Another Flute guy is saying here, Nicholas, you're saying, so it feels more similar to playing piccolo. Yes, it does. So this is yet another interesting implication where if you are actually more naturally like a piccolo player, you'll really like this. The other thing that I'm thinking of is that this might be really fantastic for people who have overbites. Because if you think about it, that wide part of the cone being further back in the mouth and then the small part of the cone being in the front, does that not match more or less the shape of someone's mouth if they have an overbite, right? Because you have more space further back. Because I do know that my overbite players all love playing the piccolo because they're just naturally good at it. Maybe this is why. So maybe you would like this if you're like if you have an overbite, and or if you prefer playing the piccolo. Yeah. Practicing piccolo helps narrow and focus your airstream for purer tone. Yes, exactly. Okay, I'm going to try more articulation stuff, and then we'll do Genshin. I absolutely think putting it up this high is helping me personally because it's just tucking everything forward, which is really nice. Okay, I think you guys can definitely tell this is not as comfortable for me. This Woodify is not as comfortable for me because it doesn't match my mouth as naturally. However, I can imagine that this would match some other people. Particularly, my suspicion is that people with overbites would really like this one. Okay, Genshin. Okay, I had a few thoughts swirling while I was doing that. One is that I really do need to pretend I'm playing the piccolo. If I pretend I'm playing the piccolo, it responds. So to me, that is confirming that if you find that you prefer piccolo playing over flute playing because it's more comfortable for you, I think you will really like the Walnut. Maybe try all the different versions of the Walnut with like the different inserts to see what perfectly matches you. But yeah, this combo in particular, the walnut and white ebony, really, really imitates, like mimics the feeling of playing on a piccolo, like a very typical regular cut head joint piccolo. So the other thought that I had swimming in my mind was that this certainly explains why I prefer a wave style cut carved head joint, carved lip plate head joint on a piccolo, because that combo allows you to more so mimic how your airstream feels on a flute and actually have it respond well on the piccolo. And because I play now, especially nowadays, I play the flute way more than the piccolo. Having a piccolo that more so mimics the flute allows me to switch over to the piccolo really quickly and with good tone and sounding like me. So if you have the opposite issue, which is that when you play the piccolo, you are fantastic and awesome and everything is great and you feel really natural. But then when you play the flute, you feel like you have to go into the flute, like this huge aperture between your lips, and you have to you feel like you're pushing a ton of air through. I think you will really like the walnut and white ebony. Like, I can see that absolutely helping piccolo players play the flute more comfortably. So let's write all this stuff down. So, shape of inside of mouth is cone, with wide end in the back, narrow in the front, and I'll put here rotates with wide end up for low notes, down with wide end down for high notes. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Let me make the review title go up a little higher. Okay. Cool. All right. And then ideal for piccolo mains is what I'm going to call them. I just need it to be short, and gaming technology, I think here, or gaming terminology, sorry. Gaming terminology, I think will make it a little shorter for my notes here. So people who, essentially their main instrument is the piccolo. I think you'll really enjoy popping this on your flute because it'll make it feel like your piccolo. That's really interesting. But yeah, I would say that I'm having the same thing where, like, for me personally, I want the tonguing and the generally the range of motion to be more forward in the mouth. So having it higher on the tube is definitely helping that. So yeah, I think that so it, however high you want it on the neck and on the head joint, that will just move where it sits in your mouth. So the higher up the head joint, so the closer to your lip plate, the more forward it's going to be. And then the closer it is to, like, if you put it right next to the barrel on the neck, it's not going to change at all what the flute likes to do in its original design. If you want it to be further back in the mouth, you're going to have to pop it onto the neck. So, that part does not change between the two Woodifys. That part, I think, is just like all the Woodifys work the same way. And I think I verified that in my last review as well. But yeah, I'm just finding out that this is really good for piccolo players. Thank you, Nicholas, for pointing that out. Okay, we're going to move on to the 482 and see how that responds. So 482 now. So this one, as a review, was a little more rounded. It's not quite as flat of a vowel inside the mouth. And generally more forward playing. So let's give that a review really quickly. Oh, I think for this we want to, there we go. Okay. Yeah, compared to like when I put the Walnut Woodify on, like I really prefer a much larger aperture than what the Walnut kind of forces me to do. There it is. That kind of like bean shaped vowel in the mouth, like, and it's quite forward. Definitely, I can again feel that the cramping will happen. So, okay, time to pop the Walnut onto the 482 and see what happens. I think, because let's do, what we did last time, which is place the Woodify about 2 to 3 millimeters higher than the neck, and then we're probably going to feel like it feels like playing a piccolo. So let's do this. There we go. Okay, so we'll place it a little bit closer. Okay. All right, and then yeah, that's about 2 to 3. Okay, we'll see if I like this. Yeah. Wow, much smaller aperture. Like I can hear the fuzz around it because my aperture is too large. Ooh, that's difficult for me because that aperture has to be so small while we're like shooting a ton of air out. Okay. All right. Articulation for sure, you can hear it's clearer because I just nudged it a little bit more forward where my tongue actually wants to sit. So likely what's happening as well is because my tongue isn't as like squashed back. There's a little bit more space, I think, for the back of that cone to stay open. Interesting. Okay. I had to do that a few times because I was like, those high notes, like I can get them to ring, but the moment my tongue is in the way, it kind of like cuts out some of that resonance. So what I realized was my tongue had to go higher too, to make room for that cone. Yeah, I had to go a little bit higher, which is, I feel like a piccolo thing that you kind of need to do. So it's interesting. Okay, let's do some Genshin. So I am very surprised by how small the aperture between my lips can be on here. I really feel like I'm playing a piccolo. Like, it's really weird for me to have the aperture between my lips be that small for the low notes. But if that is what you prefer, then you're gonna love this. So I also found while I was playing that, like, if I think of that air bubble, more so kind of like essentially going the opposite way than I expect. So low notes, it sits low in the mouth, and then high notes, it sits like low notes, it sits high in the mouth, and then high notes, it sits low in the mouth, and then you just keep a tiny aperture, then you'll automatically get that cone effect. So if you prefer that, you know, like if you prefer like that big wide air bubble, kind of like essentially doing the opposite movement of if you're going high or low. So if you're low, if you're playing low but you want that air bubble to be high, and then if you're playing high and you want the air bubble to be low, then I think you'll like this. It's like if you play games and you wanted to, like, you prefer like an inverted y-axis. So if you, which by the way, I don't know if I've ever told you guys, but I am a double invert girl when it comes to playing video games. I invert both the y-axis and the x-axis. Anyway, interesting. Okay, so what I'll say here is definitely great for piccolo players. Tiny aperture between lips. And then the other thing is if you prefer an quote inverted y-axis movement for your air bubble, you'll like this. And what else? Yeah, I just feel like it's just really, really good for piccolo players. This is great. Interesting to think that you can like change a flute from this kind of like really big kind of sort of like vowel to something that feels more like a piccolo is quite something. Okay, we are going to move on to the last flute, the 787. And we're going to play it as is, just to remind ourselves how it likes to play. This one I have been just, if you're tuning in now, I was very pleasantly surprised that I'm really enjoying this. It's very forward playing now, the 787. So let me write that in the notes here. Okay. Oh, Michael, I just saw your message. If you're seeing this later, I hope you're doing good and you have a great rest of your day. Okay, so let's do this. Yeah, to me, that's a lot more comfortable to like have a much bigger aperture between my lips and really just kind of, let it go. I think I still prefer it with the cherry. It's just a little too flat for me. Still feeling a bit of that. Yeah, it's like almost there. The cherry just makes it work for me. I can just like let go. So like in the current setup, I can't really let go. But let's see if it essentially makes it again like a piccolo. And I have to remember that this is a heavy wall, so I'm gonna loosen this up quite a bit so that it's a little easier to pop on. And we don't want to move where the kind of like where things are articulated and that range of motion. We don't want to move that forward or back. So we're just going to have it tucked right next to the neck. Okay. So let's do that. I want to tighten it just a hair more. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to have it tucked right next to the neck here. tucked right next to the neck. Okay. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's super concentrated air, which like my lips are not used to because it's like super tiny aperture. What I am noticing right off the bat though is even though a heavy wall typically takes a lot of air, putting on a Woodify that essentially limits the size of the aperture between your lips, like, and makes it feel like you're playing like a piccolo. What it's doing is that it's actually causing me to not actually put in as much air into a heavy wall flute, which is very interesting that you can manipulate even that. Normally on a heavy wall, like against a heavy wall flute, you have to like push like crazy. Yeah, it's actually like restricting the amount of air that I can put in. And I think it's because of that like super tiny aperture. Like you can't push a whole ton of air. That tiny aperture is like already like because it's so small, putting in, you know, a ton of air is just going to cause it to like spray instead. Huh. Okay, yeah, I can really feel I'm holding back air actually. Like I I'm not it's like I'm not allowed to put in as much air as I want to in a heavy wall. Like I can't, I'm not letting go. Now, that is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just not my preference of playing. So I totally like I have students. I absolutely know people who would prefer to play like this, where they don't have to feel like they have to keep like winding themselves to play. I think just on a side note, this did make me consider my asthmatic students. So I have a few students who are asthmatic, and I've always been looking for ways to, make flute playing more comfortable for them, so they don't feel like they're like constantly winding themselves. And like, I think limiting the size of the aperture between your lips might actually help. So that's an interesting food for thought. I caught myself thinking about that while playing the Genshin Impact main theme. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to put here, makes heavy wall feel like a standard wall flute. So you don't need to put in a ton of air because the aperture between lips is so small. That's so interesting. And then good for asthmatic flutists? Question mark? I'm putting a question mark there because that's just my thought process, and I want to share that with you guys, but I don't want to completely confirm it either. Yeah, again, I think this really does essentially turn it into like, it feels like playing a piccolo, which I think is like contributing to the fact that I feel like suddenly I'm not allowed to put in a ton of air. Because that is how it kind of feels like to play a piccolo, like, because it's so small. Yes, your air speed has to be very high, but the amount of air that you actually put into a piccolo is very, very tiny. It's not, doesn't actually take a ton of air to play a piccolo. It just takes a lot of concentrated air to play the piccolo. And that's essentially what this Walnut and Ebony is doing. Okay. Well, that is, I think that is it for this. So just to kind of recap then, let's do a quick recap, and then I kind of want to do what Nicholas suggested earlier, which is to try this on my beginner model flute. It's actually right behind me, so I kind of want to do it. You wonder if it's because it's a lighter wood. I would not be surprised if that is the case. I truly would not be surprised if that's the case. But quick recap is it is true that the tightness of the Woodify will either increase or like intensify or create not as intense of an effect that the wood has. So for example, for the 222, it was a really, really flat vowel in my mouth, and I really wanted it to be much rounder. So I tightened the cherry Woodify on it a lot in order to like really make it round. And in terms of like where you're feeling you want to tongue, and also like where the range of motion is, like in terms of where that air bubble kind of travels in the mouth, if you want that air bubble and your articulation to be generally further back, then place the Woodify lower on the flute, so more towards the neck, if not on the neck, in some extreme cases. And then if you want it to be more forward, place it higher up the flute, so closer to the lip plate. Personally, I find that it's, you can really sort of nudge it around as you're playing. So if you're playing and you're just like, oh, I feel like, like I'm getting that sort of thunky feel, then what that means is that your tongue is too far back. So what you want to do is make the flute meet you. So you would move the Woodify lower, so maybe even onto the neck of the flute, or at least lower down the tube. And then conversely, if you feel like your tonguing is like too like kind of like spitty, like it has that kind of sound to it, then that means that your tongue is too far forward. So you can then just sort of nudge the ring up so that it forces the flute to sort of match you. So that's what the height does, and that is the same regardless of which Woodify you use. Like every Woodify will do that. What the different woods will do is it will create a different general vowel shape in your mouth. And so you want to find the one that matches you the best. And the way that you can really figure that out, you don't have to do what I did, which is create this whole like diagram and stuff. That's my job. It's okay. You guys don't have to do it. What you guys really want to look for is a release in tension that you feel like you can just let go. You don't have to think about it. Also, this lighting is really making me look quite glorious. Anyway, so for me with the cherry, I feel like I can just let go, and I don't have that crampy feeling. I don't have that feeling of like, I have to like hold my mouth in a specific position. You want to have you want your mouth to be as neutral as possible. So you'll need to try all these different woods to see which one makes your mouth feel like you can just play. You can just blow. That you don't have to think about it. You don't have to you're not cramping or anything like that. Because it is possible to make a good sound on the flute if you just kind of cramp your mouth into a specific position. You can make a nice sound. However, the reason why you want to go with something that allows you to play in as neutral a position as possible for you is because neutral means relaxed. Relaxed means that you can let go. And if you can let go, it means that you can express yourself to the fullest of your capability and extent in music. Because if you really want to have that, a lot of times people ask me how do you play expressively on the flute? And I'm just I'm not even joking when I say you have to be comfortable on your instrument. If you're uncomfortable on your instrument, you cannot let go. You're going to be walking on eggshells around yourself. You're going to feel like, oh, for this note, I have to hold my mouth in this way. And then that note, I have to then change my mouth to do it this way, and you can't express yourself well if you're walking on eggshells around yourself like that. And also if you're cramping, you're literally cramping your muscles like that. So yes, I'm glad you agree with me. So that is how you find the wood that matches you. Ideally, if you can try all of the Woodifys and then keep the one that matches you the best, that is absolutely ideal. I do know that Ale takes his Woodifys to various festivals and stuff like that across around Europe and places like that. But hey, Celestian, how are you doing? So it's going to be if you can find Woodify and Ale at a festival or something like that where you can try all of them, that will be the most ideal. But generally speaking, just take a look at my diagram here, and you can take a look at my last review, and you can kind of guesstimate what your mouth would prefer. This is why I do a lot of kind of verbal explanation of how I feel when I'm playing this, because a lot of people apparently do find the flutes and Woodifys that match them well based on my description. A lot of people kind of have that aha moment of oh, Joanna is describing my mouth. I don't get it 100% every time. I'm only human, but I have to say, I think I've been getting better and better at it, at like kind of like verbally explaining it. So if you know, if you have an idea of which Woodifys might work for you, likely you've probably already, you know, narrowed it down to 2 of them. So just for you guys, Ale has extended his Black Friday promotion to December 7th. So you guys get 2 extra days. You know, after this stream to order, you get 25% off 2 Woodifys, which is really great if you're looking to like trying to find the one that matches you. So if you have an idea of which ones match you and you're not sure between the 2, you can order 2 and try them out for yourself. So yeah, thank you so much, Ale, for sponsoring today's stream. That was super fun, really relaxing too. I'm like super relaxed. I really love this. I don't tend to do 3-hour-long morning streams, but this is actually extremely relaxing. So Ale, thank you so much. Yeah, if you guys want to check out that Black Friday extended promotion, it is all in the description below. I believe it's black-woodify-25 to get 25% off 2 Woodifys. So have fun with that. Now, to close off the stream, because it is in, you know, within the theme of Yamahas, I do want to get out my own Yamaha. My baby from when I was 8 years old. Here she is. So I'm just going to make some room over here. Take it out on this side because there's too many flutes on this side right now. So here she is. I believe I called this flute June because we bought her in the month of June. I'm so creative with my names. But okay. Now, she has not been COA'd in basically forever, so please forgive her for how she sounds. But let's do a similar thing than what we did before. It is very similar to the 222. Very, very similar. Let me change this because we are not on the Yamaha. We're on the 225 SII. Joe's old flute. Okay. Okay. Play a bit more. Okay, it definitely is way flatter and the range of motion is way bigger. Like I have to go way further back than on the 222. Hey Chris, how are you? Yes, we shall caress the wood. Okay, I think, so the problem that I can see coming out of this, because the range of motion on this particular instrument is so big, like my highest C is like back here, but my low C is already here. So if I put everything too far forward, I have some concerns that I'm not going to be able to get those low notes out really well. Okay, maybe I won't go the full 5 millimeters higher than the neck. I'll go more 2 to 3. Let's see. Okay, we'll try that. Okay, 2 to 3 millimeters up, I can still do, and it's actually way more comfortable. Okay, as you can tell, easier for me to get up there. I still have to go pretty far back. But this is as far forward my low notes are going to be. Let me play a little bit of Genshin, and then I have an idea. Okay, I'm really surprised. I feel like this is not how it's supposed to feel or how it's supposed to sound. That's very impressive. I feel like the Woodify ring has a much more intense and noticeable effect on beginner and intermediate model flutes, in my opinion. Like that is insane, that difference. So wow. I am noticing, however, that I still need to go a little bit flat. Like I think the cherry actually, like like this flute plays so like with the vowels so flat that it's still a little flat. Like I wonder if Ale ever made a bigger Woodify, that it would finally make this round enough. Like what if I put 2 Woodifys? Like if I put 2 cherry Woodifys right next to each other, if maybe that might do it. That might do it. Like if I put another one right next to it, it might also bring the back, those like high notes a little bit more forward too. Maybe. So I'll put here, still very flat, vowel shape in mouth? What if we could do 2 Woodifys right next to each other? Oh, yeah. That, intense effect from Woodify. Wow. Very resonant because it matches my mouth much better. Okay. Now you're mentioning, I'm going to say no on the Brannon head joint because I feel like I want all of this entire review to be something that people can have access to. Ale is letting me keep these, so I'll try that on another day, okay? But let's try. You were saying the new 222 on the old 225. Okay. I'm going to just do it straight with the Woodify just to make it more comfortable for me to play. Okay. Let's do that. Oh, what am I doing? I did not put it into the correct flute. Okay, let's hope this fits. Does this fit? It doesn't. It doesn't fit. I can't do it, guys. I'm sorry, Nicholas. I can't do it. It doesn't fit. In any case, we can try this for fun on like another fun stream where we don't have anything planned. For now, though, let me put this back together so it's not decapitated, sitting on my desk like this. Yeah, so sad. I know there's too many options. There's too many options. And I kind of love that there are too many options because this means that, you know, the flute is just a lot more accessible now, you know, to everyone. Oh, right. The other thing that I wanted to write down just for myself was range of motion is still massive. So we're only nudging the Woodify a little 2 to 3 millimeter above neck. So it brings high notes just a tad forward, and it doesn't push low notes too forward. That does not all fit in here, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I'm just going to, oops. Ugh. Okay. This is, why is this so difficult to deal with? It doesn't like me. So what we're going to do is just make that, wow, it really doesn't like me. Why do you hate me so much? Fine, I'll do it this way. Fine. Scuff, guys, the scuff is happening. Okay, there we go. We'll do that. There. Okay, we'll just leave it like that. It's fine. It's okay. A little bit of scuff never hurt anyone. Okay. You wonder if Woodify has one for alto flute. Well, let's check their website together. You guys can check out below. Let's see. You can certainly request. I wouldn't see why you wouldn't, because, and who knows, maybe if there's enough demand, there could be. Because that is interesting, because a lot of people, don't go through the whole crazy process of trying, getting your perfect match for the auxiliary flutes, right? Like people mostly just do it for the C flute, and then for their auxiliary flutes, they're kind of like, meh, So, let's see, store rings for low flutes. Yes, he does make it. He does. So here, just so you don't have to go searching around, Phantom. There you go. So have fun. Yeah. He does. He makes one for alto and he makes one for bass. Yay! There you go. Awesome. Hey, Allison. I'm just actually about to end. I'm so sorry. I've been standing for a really long time, so I'm gonna grab my chair and we're going to, sit down while we clean up and stuff. Yeah, it only just occurred to me that I've been standing for like 3 hours. So, Hello. Okay. I might clean up most of the stuff actually off stream, just because I have a lot of stuff kind of hanging around here, and it might be a little bit easier to clean up if I'm not distracted. So let's kind of clean up all this business here. We'll make that go away too. All right, so let's see. You have to head off to a band at a local university. Great! That's great. I'm so glad you popped in and said hi. We hope you've been doing well. But yeah, so I just once again want to thank Ale, from the maker of Woodify, for sending me these two lovely Woodifys, and also for sponsoring today's stream. I really appreciate it. And this was so fun, so relaxing. And we figured out a lot of interesting things today. There's just a lot of things that every time I do a review, I get something takes me by surprise every single time. I'm just kind of like, oh, what? But yeah, definitely, if you are looking to customize your flute, but you don't have the funds to get a whole new flute or to do the whole flute shopping situation, Woodify is a really great way to customize your flute to you and play a lot more comfortably. So, like, you can tell that it does absolutely work even on the higher level instruments. It's just more of a drastic change on beginner and intermediate flutes. So very, very accessible in my opinion. So yeah, get yourself your Woodifys from the link below. Promo for you guys has been extended. Black Friday promo extended to December 7th. So get it before the promo ends. Yeah, I just want to say that, you guys are really fun to hang out with. I've been doing some reflecting, and I've been really realizing that we've truly created a really lovely community here where we can just nerd out about the flute with no fear of judgment and no fear of like looking stupid or anything like that. I love that about us. I was just thinking about that the other day, and I'm just like, that is what makes these reviews so fun. Like, you guys don't expect me to know everything. And you guys are so generous with your knowledge. And so we can really sort of create this hive mind of nerds. And I think we're really powerful because of that, you know? And yeah, I'm, thank you. Thank you for, you know, like contributing to this safe haven. Yeah, because I think in the beginning, when I first got into all of this, you know, you never really know what you're doing, you know? And you just, you know, you get this pressure of like, people are like, oh, how do you do this? And how do you do that? And I'm just like, I don't know everything, you know? And it's been quite the journey to realize that I can be vulnerable and be like, hey guys, I have no idea what we're walking into and we're just going to figure it out together. And, you know, you guys have really, really made this place a safe place for me too, to be able to do this type of review. Like today's review would not be possible without you guys, and without you guys being just so, you know, like kind, you know? So like, thank you. And I was thinking about that the other day because I've had a little bit more time to myself for reflection lately because I haven't been streaming every single day. And I think because of that, there are just some thoughts that came to my mind that I was like, I really need to make this very blunt and clear with you guys, that I don't take you guys for granted, that you guys really like have made this possible. You've made my career possible. You've made being a reviewer of flutes and flute gadgets possible, you know, because if I was expected to know everything, I don't think I would have become a person who reviews flutes and reviews flute gadgets. Yeah, I don't think I would have done it. So yeah, thank you all. And with that, I want to wish you guys an amazing rest of your day, wherever you are. If it is nighttime where you are, good night. Have a lovely sleep. Take care of yourselves, because there's no music without the musician. I will see you guys next week. I will have another stream that will happen earlier in the week. These kinds of slightly odd times for my streams are so that it, you know, makes it a little bit easier for the person who has sent me stuff to review can see them as well. So, but I kind of like catching a little bit of a different crowd every single time. It's really fun. So I will have a stream again on Monday. You guys will see some promo for it coming out probably tomorrow. Maybe today if I get to it, but definitely tomorrow. So you guys will see that coming out very soon. I will see you guys on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves. And yeah, I love y'all. Laters. Bye.